Hi everyone! Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kit Kat and I'm the camp recruiter for Girl Scouts of Greater Los Angeles. I love camp, but when I'm not at camp, I love doing arts and crafts at home. My grandmother taught me how to crochet when I was about 7 years old, and ever since then I've been doing all kinds of crafts like sewing, cross-stitch, embroidery, knitting, crochet, and crochet will always be my favorite. So all those crafts can be used to complete the senior textile badge, and if you have a favorite craft, leave a comment below and let us know what it is. And bonus points for adding a photo of your favorite project. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do some yarn crafts. We'll look at how to finger knit or finger weave and how to crochet with a hook. And you can use these to complete the senior textile badge. And if you aren't a senior yet, you can still have a lot of fun making things for yourself or for people you care about. Let's get started. We're going to start with some finger knitting or finger weaving, some people call it. And all you need for this project is some yarn. And I prefer a heavier or a thicker yarn for beginners, but any color of yarn will work in any style. And if you don't have yarn, you can use any kind of string or even plastic bags. There's a lot of YouTube videos on how to prepare plastic bags for weaving. Feel free to pause this video to look those up and come back when you're ready. We're going to start with the palm of our left hand facing up, and we're going to place the yarn, the end of the yarn, between our thumb and our forefinger. So this is the end of the yarn, and this will be our working end of the yarn. Okay. So we're going to take the working end of our yarn and we're going to bring it behind our index finger and in front of our ring finger, and we're just weaving it through our fingers, just like this. And then we're going to take it back around, so behind the pinky finger, in front of the ring finger, behind the middle finger, and in front of the index finger. So it should look like this, and you should have one loop on each of your fingers. So we're going to repeat that step and take that working yarn and go again behind, in front, behind, in front, and bring it back around just like this. So you should have 2 loops of yarn on each of your fingers. The next step is to take, we're going to start on the index finger, and you're going to take the bottom loop and bring it over your finger. Did you see that? So we're going to repeat that on all of our fingers. We're taking the bottom loop on our middle finger, bringing it over the top loop and around our whole finger, just like that. And we're repeating on each one of our fingers. And every once in a while you can push these loops back down because they'll tend to rise up. So once you've done that, you're just going to take the working end of your yarn and you're going to repeat weaving and pulling the loops up. So we're going to take this working end in front of our middle finger, behind the ring finger, in front of the pinky finger, and then back around. Now you have 2 loops again. So you can go ahead and start on the index finger and bring that bottom loop up and over, and on the middle finger, and on the ring finger, and on your pinky finger. And push those loops down. And every once in a while you can take your your end of your yarn and give it a tug, and that'll kind of pull the work out from the back of your hand. So we're going to repeat this step a couple more times so that we can see some of our work in progress. If you do this project with any kind of really cool materials, or if you just finish a project that you're really proud of, please post a photo of your finished product in the comments so that we can see what you've done. Because one of the best things about yarn crafts is sharing your work with the world. There we go. So we're going to pull the end of our yarn, and you can see this long sort of work coming out the back of our hand, just like this. So we're going to do a couple more rows. Push those loops down. There we go. And you can see we've made this beautiful long finger weaving project. So to finish off your project, you can take the working end of your yarn, cut the end of it, and you're going to take it and bring it up through the pinky, up through the ring finger, up through the middle finger. Whoops. There it goes. And then up through the index finger. And you're gonna pull all of this right off of your hand and give it a pull. And you'll have something that looks like this. And you can make this project as long or as short as you'd like it to be. And some of the really cool things that you can make with this are, I made a little octopus friend. Very cute. And you can even take these long kind of loops of yarn and you can attach them to each other to make something like this, where you have different rows of finger weaving. This makes a really nice scarf or a hat if you want it to be. So please work on your projects and show us what you've come up with. I cannot wait to see your finished project. Once you've mastered your finger weaving project, you might want to try crochet. So you'll need some yarn and a crochet hook. They look like this. And there are lots of different sizes of crochet hooks, but most of the yarns will tell you on their label what size you need for that yarn. So I have this really beautiful purple and black yarn, and right here on the label it says that we need a K-sized hook or 10.5. So if you use a hook that's a little bit too large for your yarn, your stitches might come out a little bit looser, and that might actually look really cool if that's the style you're looking for. But if you're using a hook that's a little bit too small for your yarn, it might make it really hard to work with that yarn. And so I recommend using a thicker yarn for beginners with a larger hook. This is a K-sized hook you can see on the label there. So let's get started. We're gonna start by making a simple square like this one using a single crochet stitch. So that's the name of the stitch that we'll be doing today. You can use your square as a pot holder or a trivet, a coaster. You can make multiple squares and sew them together and make a scarf or a blanket or a quilt out of this. So you can really use your imagination with what you want to do with just a simple crochet square. So we're going to start with our yarn, and the very first thing we do is make a slip knot. So here's what we'll do. We'll take the end of our yarn and loop it over the working end of our yarn, just like that. And then we take the working end of the yarn and push it through that loop. So over and through. And give it a pull, and you'll end up with a loop, and we call that a slip knot. I can do that one more time if you'd like. Take the end of the yarn over the working end, and then take the working end over the loop, and inside you're gonna bring a loop up and pull. There you go. That is the first step of crochet. You're gonna take your crochet hook, put it into that loop, and pull it kind of tight around your hook, just like that. So the very first thing that we need before we can crochet is to create a chain. So we're going to take our hook, we're gonna loop some yarn around it, and we're gonna pull that loop through the loop that's on the hook. So I can do that again and again. One more time, we're gonna go around and then hook it through. And we've just made 2 chains for our crochet project. We're gonna do about 10 chains for this project. You can do as many as you'd like. So we're gonna keep pulling that yarn through and through and through and through until you have a very long chain. If you're a climber or a knot tire, we call this the daisy chain. But for crochet purposes, we're just calling it the chain today. So we'll do a couple of those, and I'm gonna work quickly. Here we go. And so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 chains. So you always wanna do 1 extra chain, so 1 more than you want. So we'll have 11 stitches on here. So we did 12 chains, if that makes sense. So you're gonna take your crochet hook, you're gonna skip this very, very first chain here, and you're gonna bring this hook into the next chain over. So it's gonna go right in there. And we're going into the top loop of that chain. So we're gonna go up, in, through that top loop. Take the working end of your yarn, bring it around your hook, and then you're gonna hold this tight and hook that yarn through that chain. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. You're gonna grab another loop from your working end and bring it through both loops on your hook, so you're left with 1 loop. And we'll do that a couple more times because that is how you single crochet, and that's the stitch we're gonna be using all the way across. So again, we're gonna take our loop, our hook, we're gonna go inside the top of the chain, the next chain over, grab some yarn, pull it through, just like that. And then we're gonna take more yarn and pull it through both of the loops. Perfect. We can do this a little bit faster as we get going, and you can see this is the next chain, so we're gonna go through, and then we're gonna bring another loop through. It's kind of a 2-step process. 1, 2. We're gonna do this all the way across until we get to the very last chain. And sometimes when we do our first stitch on our chain, our work tends to get a little bit curly, so you just wanna uncurl it. And we're gonna go all the way across to the other side. So when we pull a loop of yarn through, we call it yarning over. Let me get some more yarn here. So we're gonna put the hook through the stitch, yarn over, grab the loop, yarn over again, and grab the loop. And then we have 1 chain left, so we're gonna do that one. And you've just completed your very first row of single crochet. Great job. So we're gonna turn our work around and do another row. But before we do that, we have to do 1 extra chain on the end of each row. So we're out of chains here. And so we're gonna take that yarn over, we're gonna bring it through, and we've just created 1 extra chain. Now we can turn our work over and start again. So this is the chain that we just made. So instead of that, we're gonna go through the very first stitch in this row. And now, instead of going through the top loop, we're going through both loops. If you can see, both loops are on the hook. We're gonna take the working end of our yarn over, bring it through, and we're gonna just continue to do those single crochet stitches for the rest of our square. So usually, if you're making a square, you want about the same amount of rows as the amount of chains that you did. But you can make a rectangle with this. You can make all kinds of really cool things. There we go, we're just yarning over and single crocheting. And you're just gonna repeat this until your square is as big as you would like it to be. And again, once you've finished your square or multiple squares or whatever project you're working on, please, please, please send us a photo, leave us a comment, and let us know what you made.
After you try something new, it's a good idea to think about what you learned, what you liked or didn't like, and what you might want to try next. If you or your Girl Scout like this activity, you may like to try some of the other senior badge activities you can find here and at Girl Scouts at Home. Your troop leader can help you find the rest of the steps for the Girl Scout Senior Textile Badge in the Volunteer Toolkit, or you can get it at our Girl Scout shop at girlscoutshop.com. And if you earned your badge, you can ask your adult to order that too. If you're not a Girl Scout yet and you want to join us, you can go to girlscoutsla.org to learn more. See you next time!